celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. This is Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Today, on a special edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, it's the championship round stepladder finals of the 2018 Brunswick Zone Roswell All-Star Varsity and Junior Varsity Tournament of Champions. Throughout the season, each week, a new bowler in both the Roswell Varsity and the Roswell Junior Varsity qualifies for our traditional end-of-season Tournament of Champions by being the latest player to have bowled the most pins over their average in league competition. At the end of the season, and 1 week after the team championships are settled, all the kids who have qualified for this event meet for a final weekend of competition to determine the champion of champions in this unique pins over average tournament. On Saturday morning, the kids bowled round 1, a series of 3 games, after which we cut the field in half, or in this case, to no fewer than 8 kids. Then, those 8 bowled round 2 of qualifying, consisting of 3 more games. And then we made the final cut to the top 5 players in both the varsity and junior varsity divisions. And those 5 finalists are invited back on Sunday for the championship round stepladder finals, which you will see today. So, let's meet our 10 finalists. First, in the Roswell Junior Varsity. Qualifying as the 5th seed, it's Ellie Grogan. 2 years ago, Ellie ran the stepladder to take first place in the junior varsity. And last year, she won her first match and finished 4th. This 11-year-old has an average of 110 and fired games of 97, 174, 103, 108, 133, and 103 for a total of 58 pins over her average. She'll face our number 4 seed, Marquise Burrell. Marquise is completing his first season bowling youth league. This 7-year-old won our Halloween costume contest in October and was on the league championship team this season. Bowling off an 87 average, Marquise fired games of 84, 120, 94, 112, 87, and 105 to finish plus 80 pins over his average. The winner of that first match will face our number 3 seed, Samuel Anderson. Samuel is another young fellow who's completing his first league season. Samuel just turned 8 this spring and has a league average of 81. He shot games of 70, 86, 113, 88, 82, and 130 to finish his 6 games of qualifying, plus 83. The winner of that match will advance to the semifinal to face our number 2 seed, Jake Malik. Jake has been in our league since he was just a little kid. He'll turn 12 this summer and has 1 more year in the junior varsity before aging up to the varsity. Playing off his 108 average, Jake shot 145, 100, 127, 113, 98, and 156 to finish plus 91. And the winner of that semifinal match will bowl for the championship today against our number 1 seed, Derek Gilbert. Derek is the 3rd youngster in our field who is completing his first season of league bowling. This 11-year-old finished the season with a league average of 77 and fired games of 59, 89, 95, 107, 122, and 87 to come out of qualifying with a score of plus 97. And that's our field in the junior varsity. Over in the varsity division, here are our 5 finalists. Qualifying in the 5th position is Corina Shapiro. This 15-year-old has a league average of 161 and fired games of 171, 184, 162, 199, 189, and 169 to complete qualifying at plus 108. She'll bowl in our opening match against our number 4 qualifier, Tristan Davis. Tristan will turn 16 in a few weeks, and if you've watched much of Prodigy Bowlers Tour this season, you know that he's one of the steadiest players we have. He seized the early lead when he shot 258 out of the gate, but he pulled a muscle in his back that game and fought through the pain, firing games of 233, 173, 210, 210, and a 251 to finish plus 147. The winner of that opening match will advance to face the player they all fear the most in this field, Bryn Morgan. We all remember what Bryn did to Logan Fossum in this tournament 1 year ago when Lofo fired a scintillating 761 series for 3 games but came up 1 strike short of getting past Bryn to advance to the championship match as he was spotting her 100 pins in handicap. Well, Bryn, who turned 15 in the winter, once again brings the lowest average in our field into this championship round. Her 110 average will give her a ton of handicap no matter who she bowls. She bowled every game of qualifying over her average, firing 126, 119, 149, 152, 121, and 145 to finish plus 154. It'll take a mighty effort to get past Bryn today if she keeps up this torrid pace. The winner of that match will advance to the semifinal match, where they'll face our number 2 qualifier, Mikey Kabrinsky. Mikey will turn 17 in a couple of weeks. 2 years ago, he qualified for our stepladder in 3rd place and advanced to the championship match before finishing 2nd behind Logan Fossum. He's back today with a new bowling ball and high hopes of getting back to the championship match for a 2nd try. Mikey has a league average of 183 and fired games of 216, 187, 193, 183, 247, and 234 to finish qualifying at plus 162. And the winner of that semifinal match will bowl for the championship against our tournament leader, Christian Manel. McFluffy is 14 for another couple of months and set winning this tournament as one of his goals early in the season. Bowling off his 198 average, Christian made a statement early, firing games of 246, 253, 195, 195, 236, and 245 to complete qualifying at plus 182. He is 1 win away from accomplishing his goal of winning the Roswell Varsity Tournament of Champions. And that's our field today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Well, here's a look at how we got here, as over in the junior varsity, one player is conspicuous by his absence. Hunter Moffitt pretty much lapped the field through 2 rounds of qualifying. Despite bowling off the highest average in the Roswell Junior Varsity League, Hunter's 147 average proved to be no impediment at all, as he fired games of 172, 179, 166, 175, 208, and 178 to finish qualifying at plus 196, 99 pins higher than our number 1 seed today. But Hunter had previously committed to bowling the state tournament on this date. He and his buddy Spiros are bowling the singles and doubles competition in Columbus today. So despite leading our Tournament of Champions, Hunter withdrew to honor his commitment to Spiros. Gotta respect that. But let it be known that Hunter was in the catbird seat after round 2 and would have been the tournament leader had he not chosen to bowl the state tournament. And over in the varsity division, we had some pretty unusual things happen as well. For starters, Josh Donahue got caught in traffic behind a bad accident and didn't arrive at the bowling center until it was time to bowl his 10th frame of the first game of qualifying. Our rules state that if you're late, you can't make up frames. Instead, you get 0 for any frames you miss. So when Josh opened in the 10th frame, he actually posted a score of 9 for game 1. Bowling off his 215 average, that put him minus 206 after 1 game. I told him, if you bowl back-to-back 300s now, you still won't be able to get into plus numbers before the first cut. But he sure as heck gave it a try as he began the second game with the front 9. He said he needed a game to warm up. More like a frame. And it seemed like after Logan Fossum started the day with an uncharacteristic 157, he just never could get it going, firing a couple of games in the 170s and Lofo failed to get past the first cut, finishing just ahead of Josh. Another big surprise in round one is Brandon Rasiopi also missed the cut. And then when we got to the end of round two, our defending champion, Langston Womack, came up just 9 pins short of making the stepladder again. He finished 6th as our alternate today. Now, just as we did last year, we'll be bowling 4 players on the same pair. Our 2 junior varsity players will hold their match. They will lead off on the 2 lanes, and the 2 varsity players competing will go second on the 2 lanes. Again, this is pins over average, so effectively it's 100% handicap. We'll post their averages for you to see, and the player with the lower average will receive pins in handicap equal to the difference in the 2 players' averages. So here in our opening match, in the junior varsity, number 5 seed Ellie has a 110 average, and her opponent, Marquise, has an 87 average. So Ellie will be spotting Marquise 23 pins. And in the varsity division, number 5 seed Karina has a 161 average, while her opponent, Tristan, has a 198 average. So Karina will receive the difference of 37 pins in handicap. We'll add the handicap differential into their scores in the very first frame on the score sheet, so you won't have to add a thing. And let us not forget that they're bowling for scholarship money today. In the junior varsity, 5th place gets a Smart Scholarship contribution of $50, $75 for 4th. 3rd place, $100. Runner-up gets a Smart Scholarship award of $150. And our winner in the junior varsity today will receive a Smart Scholarship award in the amount of $250. And over in the varsity, 5th place pays a $75 Smart Scholarship. 4th is $125. 3rd receives $150. 2nd place is $250. And our champion today in the Roswell Varsity Division will get a Smart Scholarship award in the amount of $500. So here we go with match 1. Pitting our number 5 seed Ellie Grogan against Marquise Burrell, the 4 seed in the junior varsity, and 5 seed Karina Shapiro against 4 seed Tristan Davis in the varsity division. As is the usual custom on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, we have our players shake hands at the ball return and come out bowling. And Marquise is going to throw the first shot. Comes up just a little bit high, leaves the 4. And Ellie also through the nose and leaves the 6-7 split. Now, you're not going to see many replays or spare makers on this show today because we've got 4 players bowling on a pair. It'll be continuous action. As Marquise covers the 4 pin, so that's a spare right out of the gate. And now Ellie will try to fit that ball just on the right edge of the 6 pin to slide it over. But that is heading left. And a field goal for Ellie to start, and she opens in the first with 8 out. So, here's Tristan on the right. Another ball, finishing a little high on the head pin, and he leaves the 4. And now Karina. She pulled it, but crosses over and gets a strike to start. Tristan, who you've seen many times on Prodigy, covers the 4 pin to begin, so both players start with a mark, but you'll see that Karina's score is marked by plus 37. That's the difference in their average. She's getting 37 pins handicap. Marquise misses the head pin on the right, gets 7. As Ellie just ticks the head pin and gets 9. Now you'll notice Marquis' score has 40 in the first frame. Well, that's because he would have 17 with a spare and then a 7 count, but we've added in the 23 pins that he's getting in handicap. As he throws the second ball in the moat, and that is an open. And that lead is down to 19 now. As Ellie takes care of her spare. And now Tristan moves over to the left lane. Ooh, the half 8. Not quite what we would call a stone 8, where you chop the 5 straight back off the 8. That ball actually deflected and slid the 5 in front of the 8. And Karina comes in thin and blows the rack for a double out of the gate, and she increases her lead to 48. As Tristan covers that 8 pin. So now Marquis moves over to the right lane. And he leaves the 1, 3, 5, 6. With that sleeper 5, it's a little more difficult. This ball fading to the right, and Ellie gets 6 as well, leaving the 1, 2, 8, 9. And that's a good conversion for Marquis. Well, I discovered that this entire season I've been pronouncing his name wrong. I've been calling him Marquis. It's Marquis, his dad tells me, and I won't make that mistake again. How about this one by Ellie? That's a tough spare, but she takes care of it. Ellie ran the stepladder a few years ago to win this tournament. Tristan comes up in that half pocket. 6 pin just doesn't quite have the impetus to kick out the 10. And so he's gone 9 spare, 9 spare, and he would like to do the same thing here in the third. Karina working on a double. And the Brooklyn doesn't go this time. She gets 9, leaving the 5 pin. But now you see her score in the first frame. You don't often see 66 in the first, but we've added her 37 pins that she's getting in handicap to her score. Tristan covers that 10 pin. By adding in the handicap differential in the first frame, we don't have to add stuff in later in the match or do it incrementally in each frame. It's just added in at the beginning. Easier to keep up with that way. And Karina covers her spares, so our varsity players often running with a strong start. Ellie's ball crosses over, leaves the 1-3-9. And Marquis gets a piece of the head pin, goes Brooklyn, and leaves the 5 pin. Sometimes called the king pin. Got to hit the 3 pretty square to carry out the sleeper 9 here. But she gets too much of the head pin and sends the 3 around the 9. So that's an open. Marquis going for the 5. And gets it. And you will see with these little ones, some of them are pretty excitable and they will show you some reaction. Karina leaves the 10 pin. And now Tristan looking for his first strike of the match. Threw that one pretty good. I thought that had a chance. But the 10 remains. Karina will go cross lane at the 10. And gets it. And now Tristan will hope to do the same thing. That's how it's done right there. And now Marquise up on the right lane. Throwing that lighter ball, that's a plastic ball. It doesn't hook much. He gets 6. And Ellie misses the head pin left and leaves the 1-3-6. Well, throwing that lighter ball, it's going to deflect as it did for Marquise that time. He will go for the 1-2-4-9. And just hits the 1 pin a little too thin to get the whole spare, but a nice try. Still, he leads by 20 as Ellie goes for her spare. And she takes out the 1-3-6. So a good conversion there. As we turn our attention to the bigs, the varsity kids, Tristan up on the right lane. There's that strike he's been searching for all game. He stuffs that one. He may need to string a few to catch Karina. She threw that one pretty good. Just leaves the 10. As Ellie back up on the right lane, working on a spare. And leaves 5 standing, the 1-2-4-7-9. Similar to the spare that Marquise just left. Oh, Karina just lets that one slide off into the gutter, and she has her first open frame of the match. And that will cut into her lead against Tristan. Well, Marquise let the ball wrap behind his back a little bit that time. He also kind of jumped in front of Ellie, who was already up on the approach. How about it? That's how you make the 1-2-4-7-9. Good shot by Ellie. Yeah, these little kids and sometimes the bigger kids, we have to remind them about lane courtesy. And especially the little ones, they're still just learning. Well, a good try to clear off what was left, but he leaves 3 standing, and that's another open frame for Marquise, and his lead is now down to 12. As Tristan now moves over to the left lane. And he hits that one flush and gets another strike. So that's a double for Tristan, and he cuts into Karina's lead a little more. Now here's Ellie up on the left lane. She's got that spare working. And that was a pretty good ball right there in the pocket, just fractionally high. She gets 9, leaves the 4-pin. Now Karina looking to bounce back after that open. And gets a light shaker to go. Ellie, cross lane for the 4. This looks good. And she gets it. So now Marquise is going to have to stop the bleeding here. He's got back-to-back opens. And gets 9 with that one. Marquise does one thing that you don't often see with a 7-year-old. We used to teach walking around the swing, but nowadays the swing's the thing, and we tell you to walk around the swing. And Marquise does that. He gets his hips out of the way. Watch how he moves left to let that swing go straight back and straight through. He's got a pretty good little swing. He gets in trouble now and then when he gets it wrapped behind his back, as he did earlier. And now Karina for that pesky 10-pin. And she takes care of it. Tristan back up on the right. Ringing 10. Man, the 10-pin must be nailed down on these lanes. A little left of the head pin, but he gets 8. Marquise leaving the 1-3. And I believe we have Deadwood on the left lane. Doesn't bother Marquise. He converts the spare. And Tristan pulls it as he's going for the 10-pin. And there's an unforced error. And he can't afford those when he's giving up 37 pins in handicap. So Karina in the driver's seat. Ellie gets a piece of the Brooklyn pocket. Gets 9. Working on a spare, that's good. Keeps this match with Marquise close. Just 3 pins separating them. I guess it would go without saying that that is still anybody's match. But I said it anyway. Well, that's not going to help her cause. She whiffs the 5-pin. And that hands a bigger lead to Marquise. Tristan tried to help that one at the bottom. Gave it a little extra lift and pulled it. And now he's got that 10-pin over there where we've got Deadwood in front in the gutter. You might want to wait. Let us clear that off. Look at Karina. Mix them up and timber. It's not how, it's how many. Tristan, not bothered by the deadwood, just goes ahead and takes care of the 10-pin. And makes it look easy. Well, we're down to the last couple of frames. Marquise gets a piece of the head pin, but leaves the 3-5-6. That's pretty good count on his spare. Oh no! Ellie leaves the 7-10 the old-fashioned way, right through the nose. As Marquise makes his spare in the 9th. And that's got a sting for Ellie. Well, I have a standing bet with the kids in the junior varsity. If they make the 7-10, they win my car. Well, not to be this time. And for those of you considering reporting me for such a ridiculous bet, I didn't say it wouldn't be a Hot Wheels out of a desk I have at home. All right, Tristan with a strike. He's going to need a couple more of those in the 10th to have much chance. And I think Karina is now going to wait for that deadwood to be cleared on lane 5. And oh, look who's making an appearance on the show. If it isn't Coach Randy, his round self. Just a picture of grace, isn't he? That's lovely.
Thank you very much.
And they're applauding the fact that I got down there and back without falling over. All right, Karina. Make it worth the wait. Well, she does. And that double increases her lead to 49, and that's just about a dagger in Tristan. Ellie, missing the head pin on the right, gets 5. That gives Ellie a possible 140 if she makes this spare and strikes. Right now, Marquise has 139, so Ellie must spare here or Marquise wins their match. And as good a try as that was, it's not enough. Marquise gets the W and makes his spare anyway. That's a good conversion. But he will be moving on to match 2. And Karina just about got Tristan put out. There's a 7 count, and that's enough to put Karina over the top. And this ball in the gutter for Marquise does not matter. He's already got 146. That is more than enough. He wins his match. Karina has won her match. And so she curtsies over her less than stellar effort at that spare, but it doesn't matter either. And Tristan, oh, look at this. The pin setter's on the second ball cycle, so it's going to sweep this away. He's got the 5-7, and having already lost the match, he's going to have to wait just to throw the ball on a meaningless spare. So while we wait, I will tell you that we are not filming a Prodigy here in Atlanta over Memorial Day weekend. A lot of our kids are up in Tennessee at the Storm Youth Championships in Smyrna, Tennessee, bowling for scholarship money and just good experience up there. It's a great tournament. But Prodigy will be covering one of the step ladders at the Georgia Youth Bowlers Tour, GYBT, Tournament of Champions, to be held at Brunswick Zone Lilburn on Sunday, June 3rd. So we'll have an episode out soon after that. That should be an awesome time. And then our plan at this point is to have the Prodigy Invitational Team Challenge on June 9th at Roswell. Invitations haven't gone out yet, but they will. Hopefully we'll get enough of a response to hold that team challenge on the 9th of June. And then we're planning on taking the 16th off. The 16th we will take off, and then the following Saturday, June 23rd, we will hold the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions for all our winners in the 2017-18 season. There we will award the coveted trophy pin to one of our winners. And then the following week on the 30th, we'll hold our last event of the season, the Adult Youth Scotch Doubles 9-pin no tap, and then we'll call it a day. That'll be our last event of the season. As Tristan finally gets to shoot that 5-7 and misses it. And match one is in the books. It's Marquise who's moving on to face Samuel, and Karina will bowl Bryn when we return next.
Live it up, go bowling. Live it up, laugh it up, join the fun.
Is life passing you by? Get rolling. Go bowling. Shape up, slim down, wind up to wind down. There's room on weekends, also daytimes during the week. So live it up. Go bowling. Start this weekend.
Ellie admitted to me that she felt a lot more confident 2 years ago when she ran the stepladder and won this event because she was the one getting pins in handicap. But today, she was spotting Marquis' 23 pins and just couldn't overcome it. And in the varsity match, Tristan just couldn't put together a string of strikes like he'd done in Saturday's qualifying rounds, managing only a double in his match against Karina. So, as we enter match 2, it's Marquis who's moving on in the junior varsity to face Samuel. And in the varsity match, it's Karina who is advancing to bowl against Bryn. Samuel has an average of 81, while Marquis' average is 87. So this time it's Marquis who will be giving up pins to his opponent, 6 pins to Samuel. And in the varsity match, Karina's average of 161 is 51 pins higher than Bryn's. So Karina will be spotting Bryn that difference. Now, we'll add those pins into the players' scores in the very first frame, so you won't have to add a thing. Marquis misses the head pin right, and here's Samuel's first shot. And it just fades off into the gutter at the end, so a gutter ball to begin. Both of these two bowling youth league for the first time of their lives this year. Samuel joined about halfway through. There's a good conversion of a tricky spare by Marquise, and a good start. Samuel gets 8. One thing you'll notice about Samuel is he only uses about 2/3 of the approach. The back 2/3. He stops about 10 feet shy of the foul line. And there's your first look at Bryn. You remember seeing Bryn last year on our Tournament of Champions. She stopped Logan in his tracks in the semifinal match and then fell to Langston in the final. A little light for Karina. She's got the 2.78 split. Bryn with just a 110 average, but boy did she overperform in qualifying, shooting 126, 119, 149, 152, 121, and 145. Oh, a little unlucky there, Karina. Samuel gets that one a little wide right, but he gets 8, leaving the 1-2. Marquise on a spare. And that's not what you want when you're working on a spare. He drops that one in the moat, loses 10 pins in count. And now Samuel for his spare. He's waving it up, but it doesn't quite get up enough. And he just puts that 1 pin right in front of the 2. Pretty good try for a spare, but that's 8 out. And these two are in a close match, just 5 pins separating them. It's still very early. There's a dead solid perfect strike by Karina. And now Bryn up on the left lane. Hooks by the head pin, leaves the 139. And now Marquise getting a little wild with some of these balls. Misses all of them. That time he doesn't lose any count. He wasn't on a spare or a double. And Bryn brings that one back at the very end and makes the spare. And another good effort. Look at this, they're still falling. Marquise 9 out, not bad. These little guys are going to have some open frames, so when they can get 8, 9 out, that's not bad. Karina appearing to bowl out of turn, but the overhead scoring in the bowling center shows her being up. So we're letting it stand because they're actually bowling in the correct order according to the overhead score. It's wrong. We're going to try to get it corrected. Oh, man. That's why they paint them. Talk about a close shave.
I do see what you're saying. And,
Here's a little guy who's a few years away from shaving.
you know, I'll bet you I know why. Because he was first put in, he was put in second.
And Samuel drops another one on the gray board. Now Bryn. Bryn and some of the others that we will see today has to learn how to swing the ball straight back and straight through. She had a tendency to swing it around her body rather than walking around the swing. That's what Marquise does so well for a little guy. Samuel gets 7 out. That's not bad. Bryn leaves the 9, so that's another open frame. Now remember, Bryn is a 110 average. So if she can bowl over 110 scratch, which would mean on the score sheet she would have beat 161 because we're adding 51 pins into her score. She's doing pretty well. There's a 7 count for Marquise, leaving the 139. And now Samuel. Take a look at this little guy. He's got pretty good form. Just sometimes gets that ball a little bit behind his back, and it kind of goes out, and he doesn't have enough hand yet to bring it back. There's a good spare by Marquise. He doesn't even try to hook it. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Hunter a year and a half ago. In fact, I think he's throwing the same ball that Hunter had when Hunter first started bowling with us. Sometimes Samuel will bring that ball back a little bit, but it's just kind of fading on him today. There's a ball that Bryn wishes would have faded a little bit, but instead it hooks over and clips off just 3. Karina up on the right lane. She struck on this lane last time. She'd like to get another one. And that 6-pin tried to lean into the 10, but not to be. Well, Bryn with a math lesson. 3 and 3 is 6. And now her lead is cut to 33. Assuming Karina can make this 10-pin. But she hooks by it. And so Bryn's lead is back up to 44. All right, Samuel. There's 5. You could see how that ball wrapped behind his back a little bit. You can't quite get it back on plane when that happens. Oh, right through the nose goes Marquise, but he breaks up the split. Gets 9. That's good count on a spare. Remember, these little guys, their average is under 100. We'll watch Samuel in split screen. Watch him wave that ball up. Come on, ball. Doesn't quite get back. And there's a spare for Marquise. Well, Marquise average is 87, and Samuel has an average of 81. Karina just a little high with that one, leaves the 4. And there's a crossover strike for Bryn. She doesn't care how they go down as long as they go down. All right, Karina. Can't afford any more mistakes here. Takes care of the 4-pin, no problem. So we're back to the top of the batting order. Pretty good ball. by Samuel. He leaves the 6-10. And you see how that ball gets a little too far behind Marquis' back. And when it gets back there, there's nowhere for it to go but out to the right. And that one makes a beeline for the gutter. All right, Samuel. Let's see a spare here. Oh, I thought that thing might actually fade to the right, but it didn't. And Marquis misses the head pin left, but gets 8. 8 is not bad. Close match in the littles. And Karina tries to mix them up, but you know the old saying, no drive, no 5. There's a crossover by Bryn. Fails to get the 6 to go, but 9's pretty good on that hit. Karina, a lot of 9 counts in a row here. Only 1 strike to show for it. But there's another spare. And Bryn just gets the 6 and shows us a grin. And now Marquis. And that's how you get a nosedive to cave in. Right through the snoot, and he gets them all to fall down. Now once again, Karina appears to be bowling out of turn, but the arrows on the overhead scoring is showing that she's up, so we may have to fix this for the next game and just roll with it this game. No, the 8-10. Bryn crosses over, leaving the 1-3-6. Not what she wanted, but a decidedly more makeable spare than what Karina's facing. Not much you can do with this one. Just take the 1. And Bryn wide of the mark on that one, so Karina ended up getting more pin count that frame than Bryn did. And there's a crossover strike by Samuel for his first mark in the match. And he needed that to stay within shouting distance of Marquis. Well, and Marquis here has jumped up as Karina was set to go, but we've waved Marquis off. Little talk about lane courtesy. Let the person who's already up go. And that's a solid strike for Karina. Now, once again, it appears that she's bowled out of order, but the bowlers in the center are seeing the arrows on the overhead scoring as Marquis leaves the 5-10. It's showing that they're in order. Now, I believe that's because we keyed the names in out of sequence when we started this match, and it keeps wanting to revert to the order we put them in originally before we moved Samuel to the top of the order. So we're just going to have to roll with it this way this game and fix it for next game. Ooh, almost a conversion of the 5-10. Marquis with a nice try. But that open frame makes the match closer, especially if Samuel can somehow manage a spare here. He's asking for it to come up. Oh, look at this almost. And Bryn labels the pocket. Well, that was the last thing in the world Karina wanted to see. as I think she is going to go first the rest of the way here. We'll fix this thing with the sequence of the bowlers in time for the next game. And she gets a reverse shaker. How about that? Well, Marquise, now, the pins are over there, buddy. That's one in the moat, and you don't need to be doing that. Good shot by Samuel, right in the pocket, leaves the 5. Oh, look at this. No, Marquise. The dreaded double gutter in the 9th, and he hands the lead to Samuel. This is no time to be doing that. Samuel needs this spare to stay out in front. And he gets it.
Way to go, Samuel.
Bryn coming in light, getting the 8 count. She's on a strike. So she doesn't lose any pins in count. And now Karina was ready to go, but it's not her turn yet. Not even according to the overhead scoring. There's a spare for Bryn, and Karina's got a real problem now. There's 7 for Marquise. Karina can strike out in the 10th and shoot 192. That would at least force Bryn to show up in the 10th. But Karina must strike here. And with that, the varsity match goes to Bryn. She will move on. Marquise sliding by the head pin. That's an open in the 10th for 101. So Samuel will get a free run at winning the match from Marquise. As the open in the 10th by Karina doesn't really matter. Bryn already has this one salted away. She just gets 3, but all eyes are on Samuel right now. On a spare. He gets 5, leaving the 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. That gives him 92 in the 9th, including his 6 pins of handicap. As Bryn is going to open in the 10th, but it doesn't matter. The situation is this. Samuel is going to need to make this to win. 9 for a tie. And look at this. And we have a tie in the junior varsity.
That is a tie. So, in the varsity division, Bryn is advancing to meet Mikey in the next match. But before that begins, actually, yeah, give her a hand, absolutely. But before that begins, we have a tie in the junior varsity.
And here's how that's going to work. We will bowl a 9th and 10th frame roll-off. And now you do the math. Samuel gets 6 pins in handicap in a 10-frame match. What we do is take 20% of the handicap. 20% of 6, well, I don't even know what that is, but I can tell you that a third of 6 would be 2 pins. That'd be 33%. You don't get fractions in handicaps. So he's going to get 1 pin in handicap in this 9th and 10th frame roll-off. Marquise will spot Samuel 1 pin, and they will bowl a 9th and 10th frame, starting over at 0. Well, actually, Samuel will start over at 1.
It's 1 pin.
And that's how it'll work. We're going to have Samuel lead off. He will bowl
So you don't get fractions.
on the left lane. He'll bowl the 9th frame, and then Marquise will get up and bowl the 9th on the right and the 10th on the left, and then Samuel will bowl his 10th frame on the right. Here it is.
We'll do it by
It
hand.
says Samuel receives 1 pin handicap. When you see the scoring come up on the board, it will reflect having that 1 pin added in. Oh, that was a pretty good ball, and it just broke fractionally high at the end, getting a terrible result. He leaves the 4-7-10 split. What a bad break. Threw that one good. Come on, Samuel, show us a trick shot. Oh, look at this. Oh, man, he went for it boldly, but it goes off in the gutter. So he gets 7 pins. You add his 1 pin handicap to that. We give him 8 in the first frame. So his 1 pin is now added in. And now Marquise will bowl his 2 frames. There's 9. He leaves the 6. Now the most Samuel can get if he throws 3 strikes in the 10th is 38. And Marquise pulls that one and misses the 6 pin, so he has an open frame and leads by 1. So in regulation, Marquise bowled a 101, Samuel bowled a 95, had 6 pins in handicap, so they effectively tied at 101. There's a 7 count by Marquise, leaving the 1-3-9. So if he spares this and strikes, he will shoot 29, and Samuel would need to double. But instead, Marquise misses all 3 pins. That gives him a total of 16. So the situation is this. Samuel needs 9 pins in 2 balls. For a total of 17, he would win if he gets 9 pins. 8's a tie, 7's a loser. Okay, there's 7. If he would miss all 3 pins, he'd finish with 15, and it wouldn't be enough. If he can pick up 1 of these pins to finish at 16, we would repeat the roll-off and go again. If he gets 2 or all 3 of these, he will win and move on. Here it is. That's got a hook. It does not. And that is 15, and Marquise has won the match. Well, that was pretty thrilling, I must say. Anytime you go to extra frames, that's exciting. Marquise will face Jake, and Bryn will face Mikey when we return.
In the afternoon, when things slow down, when you're wondering what to do, let's go! Go bowling! Nothing brings people together or makes friends so fast as bowling. So call a friend. Bowl Brunswick tomorrow.
A pretty darn thrilling ending to our junior varsity match as the two youngest players in our field today tied at 101 after Samuel's handicap pins were added in. And after the two-frame roll-off, Marquise came out on top, but just by a single pin. And in the varsity, just what everyone was afraid of, Bryn, with her low average, benefited from a boatload of handicap pins, dispatching Karina pretty easily. So it's on to match 3 of our championship round stepladder, as Marquise has advanced to face Jake in the junior varsity. And over in the varsity division, Bryn will now take on Mikey. Jake has an average of 108, while Marquise' average is 87. So Jake will be spotting Marquise 21 pins. And in the varsity, Mikey will need his A game to get past Bryn. His average of 183 is 73 pins higher than Bryn's 110. So Bryn will be receiving 73 pins handicap. Again, we'll add those handicap differentials into the players' scores in the very first frame. So the scores you see on screen will be reflective of the handicap already added in. Marquise mixes them up, gets 9 on the first ball. Now here's Jake Malik. And look at Jake, he get all 10 to go on his opening shot. Now, I got to tell you, Jake bowling two-handed today. I've never seen him bowl two-handed. I'll tell you why in a minute. There's a spare for Marquise. So, Marquise with the early lead. Now, again, this is a pins over average event. Marquise is getting 21 pins handicap. His average just 87. Jake's 108. So there's a 21 pin differential. Mikey shreds the rack on his opening toss. Good shot. And Bryn, in her own way, shreds the rack as well. And you'll see that she has a 73 pin lead. Mikey's average of 183 is 73 pins higher than Bryn's 110. So Mikey's got a mountain to climb if he wants to catch Bryn. All right, Marquise up on the left. And you don't want to do that when you're on a spare. Well, that was different. Jake started his approach, stopped, and didn't reset. He just kept on going after a little hesitation. Well, I mentioned that Jake is throwing it two-handed today. Those 6 games of qualifying yesterday, look at him looking at his hand. He has a big blister on his thumb, and it hurts. And nobody has any tape, so he is bowling two-handed just to keep his thumb out of the ball. He's never bowled two-handed that I'm aware of. He may have come up here doing open play with his dad sometime and goofed around with two-handed, but in league, he's a one-handed bowler. So this is a pretty strange time to be experimenting, but he feels like he needs to just because it hurts. Nobody's got any new skin to let him use. You'd think one of these coaches would have some, but none of us have our equipment here. Another stone-solid strike by Mikey, and he looks like he's ready to string a few and try and catch Bryn. And that shot sails a little wide, so Bryn has an early open frame, and that big lead of hers is now down to 51. Between an open frame that she made and a double by Mikey, her lead is already starting to shrink. A little wide of the mark for Marquise. He leaves the 1-2. And Jake with the straightest two-handed shot you'll ever see, coming right up the back of it. You know, if he'd practiced this a little bit, he might be pretty proficient at it, but didn't really have a chance to. There's an open frame by Marquise. Jake misses the 6-10 on the left. You got a feel for the young fella. He's trying to learn how to bowl two-handed. At the same time, he's trying to win a match in the Tournament of Champions. Look at Bryn stuff one in the pocket. Mikey with a new bowling ball. Don't ask me what it is. I don't know. I don't drill his equipment. Oh my goodness gracious. He almost had a pocket 7-9. But the 9 goes out, a stone 7. That certainly could have been a strike. But I could have been born rich, and I wasn't. A spare. All right, Jake up on the right lane. We'll see it in split screen. And he leaves the 1-2-5. Marquise high on the headpin. And he's got the 6-10. Well, that ball just didn't have any right to left angle on it to drive through and take out the 5, so Jake with another open. And Marquise, feet slipping out from under him, and that ball sails wide. So they're struggling in the junior varsity. Boy, that ball just like a freight train going through the pins, sucks them off the back of the pin deck. And Bryn with a big double to increase her lead to 62. Cutting through the nose, Marquise breaks up the split, leaves the 3. Well, and it looks like Jake isn't really rolling the ball. He's just kind of heaving it down the lane, and he's going to have a hard time controlling it that way. This method of bowling all new to him today, I'm guessing. It's Sunday as we record this, and the pro shop's not open. If it were, I would think they'd probably just go down and get some new skin. Well, he leaves the 7-10. If you're going to leave it, you might as well leave it on a second ball where you don't have to shoot it. Of course, you'd rather just get the spare, but if you're going to leave anything, that would be the time to leave it. But that is a 20-pin advantage for Marquise halfway through the match. Mikey hooks just a little high, leaves the 4, and he looks dejected. But that should lift his spirits when he sees Bryn leaving the 4-6-7. Mikey knows he's either got to throw strikes or hope that Bryn backs up. And she's liable to do it with this. Nine out for Bryn. That will cut her lead some, down to 47. Pretty good shot there by Marquise. Leaves the 4-pin. And Jake just not really rotating the ball. He's just coming straight up the back of it. And you can see him checking his thumb even when he doesn't put the thumb in the ball. It hurts. 6 games was a little much for him yesterday. Marquise misses a little right. And another open frame. Well, if you watch Jake's arm, he's just not coming straight back and straight through. The two-handed delivery, although there are obviously some key differences in it and the one-handed delivery, you still have to swing the ball straight back, straight through. You can't go roundhouse around the side of you. Mikey talking to it, and it's listening. Bryn with a pretty good shot of her own, but the 10 refuses to go. And now Marquise ready to pull the trigger on another one. But he goes right through the snoot and leaves a wide open split. The 4-7-10. Bryn well left of her target. So that's back-to-back opens. And now her lead is down to just 36. Mikey with a strike up in the 6th. Can shave it a little more. How about it? How about it? Good try. Here's a better shot. Jake, close. Gets 9, leaves the 4. And a pretty easy spare. Although when you're bowling in a way you've never bowled before, nothing can be that easy, I wouldn't think. And Bryn goes through the nose. There's a spare for Jake. Well, you know he bowled pretty well yesterday, or he wouldn't be here now. Here's Bryn's attempt at the 6-7-10, and she's going for the wrong pin. Jake, yesterday off his 108 average, bowled 145, 100, 127, 113, 98, and then he finished strong with a 156 to get into the number 2 seed. Mikey pulls the string on that one, and that double is big as it cuts Bryn's lead down to 13 pins with 3 frames to play. Oh no! The 7-10 split. Jake on a spare gets pretty good count, but oh my goodness, he leaves a wide open split. A 6-7-10. Well, at least Marquise has another chance to win my car. But it's not to be. I'm not real worried about ever having to pay off on that bet. Pretty good try at the big 6, 7, 10 by Jake, but an open frame, and the lead remains 19 for Marquise with just the 9th and 10th to go. Bryn up in the 8. Hooks by the headpin, leaves the 1, 3, 6. And now Mikey, working on a double, can cut Bryn's lead down to 3 pins with a strike. How about it? And Bryn sails wide of the mark, and an open frame in the 8th hands the lead to Mikey. So for the first time in the match, Mikey goes out in front as Marquise clips off 2 pins off the right side of the rack. That used to be impossible. That is a synthetic lane leave. You didn't used to be able to do that. As Jake clips off just 1. You've always been able to do that. Rather not. How about that spare? That's getting 8 the hard way. We'll watch it. Watch Jake's body language. Even he is seeing if that will go, and gives Marquise the high 5. Good sportsmanship. I'm all for it. That is 3 out, and that hurts, as Marquise will have a 36-pin lead going into the 10th frame. Bryn leaves the 3, 6, 10. And now Mikey, with 3 in a row, going for a 4th. Comes up a little light. He thought he might get a messenger, but not to be. And Bryn gets the spare to go. Mikey was given that a little body language himself there. He a little surprised that spare went. He needs to cover this 10. And he gets it. So he will take a 7-pin lead into the 10th. All right, Jake can bowl 100 with 3 strikes in the 10th. Marquise is already sitting at 96. All right. Well, Jake keeps his hopes alive, remote though they may be. Oh my goodness. Another 7-10. But that was enough. As Jake gets 5, Marquise and that 8 count was enough to put this match away. So he has won his match. And Marquise trying to prove me wrong and take possession of my automobile. Fails to cover the 7-10 split, as Jake, despite all the body language he can give it, shoots 88, and that is not going to do. This was not the time to bowl 20 pins below your average. All right, Bryn hooks by the head pin, gets a 7 count. So that's going to give Mikey a 10-pin lead. And here's what she faces. And she covers the spare. That was hugely important there. She could just about kiss it goodbye if she had missed that spare. Well, there's a 9 count. So Bryn, with her 73 pins of handicap, finishes with a 217. Mikey, with a 10-pin lead, must mark. And get some kind of reasonable count. But he's going to need a mark. Oh no! The 2-8-10, and what a time for this! Well, you can do the math. If he goes 9 out, he shoots 214 and loses. He must make this spare. You either slide the 2 over to the 10 and bounce it off the wall to get the 8, or bounce one out. Ooh! That almost bounced out, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And it's Bryn who's going to move on. Watch this. Mikey gave it a ride, but it is not to be. And Marquise will face Derek, and Bryn will move on to face Christian in the championship match next. Now, bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your bowling center with Prodigy Bowlers Tour t-shirts and sportswear, including collared shirts with the Prodigy logo printed on the back to show that you support junior bowling. Check out the entire assortment of Prodigy t-shirts in the Brunswick store. Visit ProdigyBowlersTour.com to see the selection. See the ash gray Celebrating Junior Bowling, Elevating Junior Bowlers t-shirt, or the Who Will Win the Coveted Trophy Pin t-shirt. Or maybe you'd want the one that says, I've come to get my bowl on, right on the front of the shirt, or simply, Bowl Me. There's a t-shirt that says, Bowling. You probably don't get it because it's mainly for smart people. And if you're a proud parent with a junior bowler, we've got a t-shirt just for you. And how about this t-shirt? You're bowling an 8th grader. Prepare to meet defeat. Available in grades 1 through 9, most in both adult and kid sizes. And finally, the shirt that reads, Bowl better, have more fun, take lessons. Then maybe you can keep up with me. The Brunswick store is powered by the people at Cafe Press, and all of these shirts are available right now. Just go to ProdigyBowlersTour.com and click on the link to be taken right to the store. PayPal and credit cards accepted. That's ProdigyBowlersTour.com. Get your bowl on and bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your house. Order now. Go to ProdigyBowlersTour.com. That's ProdigyBowlersTour.com. This is what makes match play the most exciting form of bowling. When one player is going head-to-head against another, and it comes down to the 10th frame. In this particular case, it was a heartbreaking finish for Mikey. And for the second year in a row, Bryn ekes out a win against a worthy opponent in the semifinal match to advance to the final. And over in the junior varsity, Marquise has climbed the stepladder from the first match all the way to the final. And now it's down to 2 young fellows who have certainly never been in a situation like this before. In fact, a year ago, neither one of our JV finalists had ever bowled in a league before, let alone in a tournament for scholarship money. But here we are in the championship match, and Marquise has made it to the doorstep of his first title. But standing in his way is our tournament leader, Derek. And in the varsity, Bryn gets to take another bite at the apple. Last year, it was Langston Womack who converted a clutch spare in the 10th to edge Bryn for the title. This time, it's Christian who not only wants to win this tournament for a second time, he won it in the junior varsity division several years ago when he was just a little squirt. But he also wants this because it would give him a 7th win this season on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Okay, now the handicaps. In the JV, Derek's league average is 77, and Marquise is 87. So Derek will be receiving 10 pins in handicap to make up the difference. And in the varsity, Christian's league average of 198 is 88 pins higher than Bryn's 110 average. So Christian will be spotting Bryn a whopping 88 pins. It won't take a lot for Bryn to make things very difficult for Christian unless McFluffy can bring a barrage of strikes. And dare I say it, stay out of the moat. And we all know about Christian's propensity for throwing gutter balls at inopportune times on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. He's taken his share of ribbing and then some for it. But here we go with the junior varsity first. Leading off on the left lane is Derek. Well, an inauspicious start, I'd say. Derek throws one in the left gutter. Derek with an average of 77. And Marquise, by now you should know that he has an average of 87. So he'll be spotting Derek 10 pins. That's the difference. And Derek gets 7 in the first frame, so we'll add those 10 pins into his score, so you see 17 in the first. Marquise pulls that shot, misses on the left, so he too with 7 in the first. That is a 10-pin hole he's dug himself right out of the gate. And now Christian up on the left. And he gets a wall shot to start. Bryn going quickly. Breaks up the split. Leaves just the 6-10. We remember what Bryn did to Logan last year. Logan shot 761 and came up 1 strike short of advancing to the championship match against Langston. Bryn took that spot instead. And Langston went on to win with a clutch spare in the 10th. Marquise getting just 3 on his first ball in the second frame. If he'd just slow down a little bit, keep his feet under him, I think he'd have a little better success. Look at this. Well, he got a few more. And Derek also getting 3 off the left side. Now, I mentioned earlier with Bryn how she tends to swing the ball around her body rather than straight back, straight through. Although she threw a pretty good shot there, that should have struck. Stone 7. Derek does the same thing. He kind of roundhouses the ball around his right side instead of swinging it straight back, straight through. If these players would learn to walk out of the way of the swing, kind of like Marquise does, and some of our better players, oh my goodness, look at this. She just dropped that ball right in the moat. They would have better success. Straight back, straight through. That's the key to the game of bowling. There's obviously a lot more to it than just that, but if you have a straight swing and can hit what you're looking at, you can have success in this game whether you have a lot of hand on the ball or not. There's 5 for Derek. And Christian with a powerful strike in the second and opens with a double. And right away, he takes a little off of Bryn's lead. How about it? There's a good conversion by Derek of a tricky little spare, the 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Marquise clips off just 1 from the left. Could be that he's running a little low on fuel. He has bowled 3 games now, and some warm-up balls at the beginning of the first match. These kids also had some time to warm up before we started. Christian pulled that one. It was left off his hand. Lucky he didn't leave a split that time. Just the 6-10. And that one's left of his target, but look at how the pins just kept on falling, and he gets 9 out. Well, with Christian spotting Bryn, 88 pins, you see how we've added those 88 pins into the first frame on Bryn's score sheet. You don't often see 107 in the first in bowling, but you do today. Oh my goodness. Well, that's the old Christian. And it does sneak up and bite him every now and then. Old habits die hard. As Bryn puts one through the nose, gets 8. Christian can ill afford many open frames in this match. Marquise wide of the mark. Leaves 5. And Bryn misses on the left. That's back-to-back open, so her lead is cut to 70. That's still a lot. Marquise wide again. A little better swing that time for Derek, but he has a tendency sometimes to keep his hand on the inside of the ball, never quite gets around it, so he'll occasionally throw a little fade, a little backup ball. And looky here, Bryn through the nose, leaves the 4-10. Derek, 3 off the right, 3 off the left. It adds up to 6. Got a hook. Not a bad effort. But another open frame for Bryn. Christian taking his sweet time today. He's throwing his Forza SS. I know we have some ball nerds out there who like to know these things. Lucky to break up the split that time. Through the nose, leaves the 4-7. Derek. And not quite. It's 9 and a wiggle for you, sir. Pretty good ball. Could have struck. That's the ball that did it. That Christian going cross lane at his spare. Goes hard and straight at the 4-7 and takes him out. Derek nearly getting the 10, but runs past it. That's another open. Just 2 pins separating these two. That assumes that Marquise will go spare or strike here. When we talk about the pace a player is on, that assumes a strike spare or spare strike pace. which may be a little ambitious for some of these little kids. But they will get there. Some of them will. Christian was one of them. He got there. Wow, what a ball that was. Christian making a statement with that one. All right, now Marquise for the spare. And just misses on the right. Getting a little wild. He's still looking for his first mark this game. Derek only has one, but it's enough. And Bryn's ball doesn't drive through. She leaves the 4-5 split. Got to fit the ball right between them. A 7 count for Marquise. Leaves the 1-2-9. And Bryn is just off her game. She's bowled over her average every game in the tournament thus far, but she's going to have a hard time getting there this time. Marquise missing his spare. How about that one? Thought we were going to have another 7-10, and look at this. Bryn urging the ball to come up with her body language, but it does, and she doesn't like the result. 1-3-6. Christian being pretty deliberate today. When he gets real focused like this, he's pretty good. And he just ticks out the 10 as Bryn's attempt at the 1-3-6 goes wanting. So that's another open for her. That is 5 opens in a row. And look at this, Bryn's lead is now down to 24. All right, Marquise. The 1-3-6-9. We've seen you make this before. As Derek just tickles the head pin. And look at this. He gets all of them but the 5 to go down. Well, I always say don't turn your back on them until old Iron Claws gets them. And that's a prime example. He leaves just the 5. And how about a conversion of the 1-3-6-9? And Derek pulls that one, and it misses the 5 on the left. And now their match is a little closer, 16 pins. Bryn pushes out the 9 there, making this split a little easier. The 3-10, actually a lot easier without that 9 pin. Christian, working on a double, can cut Bryn's lead to just 14 if he can strike here in the 7th.
Looks pretty good.
Wow, he rips it. And Christian draws 10 pins closer with that strike. As Bryn opens in the 7th, and now, as Christian has been climbing out of his hole, Bryn's been digging one of her own, and her lead is down to 2. Oh, that didn't look like such a bad shot. He almost had the 6-7-10, but Marquise breaks it down, just the 6-10. Derek hits the pocket, but the ball was fading to the right, and he leaves the 5-8. A key conversion in the 8th by Marquise. And he leaves Derek hanging. Derek was going to give him a low 5, but Marquise didn't see him. 8 out, and that's going to tighten this match. Now they are within a mark. Bryn through the nose leaves the 6-10, getting down toward the end in her match against Christian. But now, with the lead just 2 pins for Bryn, Christian with a double working. If he gets a strike on this ball, he will take the lead. Well, Bryn's going to go first at her spare. Oh, no! Oh, that's going to hand the lead to Christian. He didn't even need that strike to take the lead. What it does instead is it increases his lead from 10 to 20 with just 2 frames left. And look at Derek come up with a key strike in the 9th. Just as Marquise was pulling close. And Marquise hits it in that 4-7 area, but manages to get 6. That's important because he was working on a spare. But Derek's lead grows to 10. And Marquise better make this spare in the 9th, just to stay close. And another shredded rack for Christian. That increases his lead to 30, and now Bryn's in real trouble. Oh, Marquise puts it right where he needed to, but that light ball with no hook just didn't drive through. It deflected off to the right. And now with that open frame, here's the situation. Marquise, if he strikes 3 times in the 10th, will shoot 116. That would force Derek to mark. Well, now he's got a bit of a problem. Nine for Bryn. She's got a bit of a problem too. But now Marquise must make this. If he doesn't spare this, Derek wins. And that's going to do it in the JV. Derek Gilbert has won first prize in the junior varsity. And with that open, Bryn falls 41 pins behind Christian, and she's got her back to the wall. The best she can shoot is 203. McFluffy is sitting at 194 if he throws the rest of his balls in the gutter. Well, let's not give him any bright ideas. Bryn must strike out and hope Christian pulls one of his patented collapses. But it's not to be, and with that, Christian wins the varsity. We have our 2 winners, Christian Manel and Derek Gilbert, are your winners of the 2018 Brunswick Zone Roswell All-Star Varsity and Junior Varsity Tournament of Champions. How about that? Finally, someone was able to overcome all of Bryn's handicap, and look at this. Another open. She started with a mark and then 9 opens in a row. And that 88 pins handicap, it just wasn't enough this time. She shot 93 scratch in the championship match, and that's not going to win many matches, especially against somebody like Christian.
Yeah, Christian.
Well, the 2-4-8-10,
You can actually make this.
it doesn't matter. He doesn't have to make it. He's already got the match won.
Shoot it like
But you can make this. Slide the 2 over into the 10, throw it with a lot of hook. If you throw it with enough hook, that 4 will get the 8. Not to be. Would have been fun to watch, but it doesn't matter. Christian has won the varsity division, and Derek has won the junior varsity. And that was exciting. And I guess the next order of business is to hand the trophies to our 2 winners. And here they are.
I present to you our winners of the Tournament of Champions right here. This is yours. Go back. Anybody who wants a picture, now's the time to get it.
So the one thing left to do is to get some signatures on the coveted trophy pin. We'll do that when we return next.
You are about to see 3 strikes made the hard way with a different kind of bowling ball, the AMF Impact KE21. So much pain-punishing power. It's almost unfair.
Well, there you have it. Another league bowling season in the books. We still have the final trophy presentation and award ceremony for our league bowlers, which happens right after we conclude the stepladder finals of our Roswell All-Star Varsity and Junior Varsity Tournament of Champions. There's a reason why I say this is my favorite weekend of the year. We crown 2 champions, hand out a slew of awards to recognize the performances of our junior bowlers all season, and this year's TOC was packed with thrills and excitement. In the junior varsity, a new star was born as Marquise nearly ran the stepladder, and another star was born when Derek rose to the occasion to capture the TOC in his very first try. And over in the varsity division, after a heartbreaking end to Mikey's day, Christian did what Mikey and Karina could not in overcoming Bryn's mountain of handicap pins. Bryn didn't bowl the game she wanted to, and Christian piled a string of strikes on her to take advantage. So Christian has now won this tournament in both the junior varsity and the varsity divisions. In addition to an exciting day, we also awarded prize money in the form of Smart Scholarship Awards, with the big prizes going to our 2 winners, Christian and Derek. But congratulations to all 10 of our finalists. They are all winners. But the 2 titleists also get one more honor, and that's the right to sign the coveted trophy pin. For Derek, it also means he's now qualified for the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions on June 23rd.
Okay, we're in the meeting room. We're about to start the annual trophy presentation, but first we've got a little ceremony to take care of here. Each week on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, the winners sign the coveted trophy pin. And Christian, you are well familiar with this.
Yes,
Derek, not so much. But pick up that pen, put your name on that pin right there, and put today's date on it. It's 5/20/18. A job well done, sir. Were you nervous? He's like so focused on signing this, he's not even hearing me.
Bro, it's what's the date?
Today is 5/20/18.
School's over in 3 days. 4 days, actually. 5 days.
And now, Christian,
5 days for Cherokee County.
Oh, yeah, 4.
this is win number what?
7.
7 on the year.
You need help.
Very nice. Sign it. Don't ogle it, just sign it.
If you fade my name off anymore, I swear. There's a top of the pin for a reason there.
Yeah,
That's where people grab
Logan
it.
is asking you not to wipe his name off.
It's like already gone pretty much. I just wanted to No. Nah, you won't need it.
As if.
Weber.
So congratulations to our two winners. Let's give them all a hand.
The instant strikers, Derek, Jake, and Jonathan. Come get the trophy. Third place finishers, the Fruity Wooglies, Ellie, Jake Malik, and William Atsey. Second place, the Strike Force, Alex, Samuel, and Noah. And our first place finisher is Andrew Marquis, George, and Hunter. Hunter's not here, George is here. So Andrew Marquis. Your first time bowling league. And then, because we only had one girl in the league, I thought it appropriate to do something special for her. So rather than loading you up with a ton of trophies, it's a special award that nobody else gets. She had high scratch game, high scratch series, high handicap game, high handicap series. She also had high average girls and most improved girls. In fact, her award says she wins the most girl award. Gets that especially for putting up with all. The most improved in the league, and we have something for that. That's Marquis. You showed him today. Way to go.
Every Saturday, I'm fortunate to come here, and I thank my parents who are not here. I actually don't want them to see this, but I thank them for letting me be here because like I only just get to bowl one day out of the week, and like some of y'all bowl like all the time. Like 7 days a week, I'm like, man, I gotta do this. I thank them for letting me come here today, every Saturday, and just blow my heart out even. That's all I have to say.
Charlie shot 816 to set the all-time league high for junior bowlers in this house. So we ended up having 3 278s and 3 279s. Charlie, Nick, and Tristan. Come get your award. Fourth place, it's the special K, Danny, Nolan, and Mike. Finished third. The Triple J's, Joseph, Jesse, and Jake. None of them are here today, so accepting the award for Joseph, Jesse, and Jake is me. Second place was the Strike Squad, Charlie, Mark, and Tristan. Okay, league champs for these guys right here. You guys spent the whole year together, so it just seemed appropriate that everybody would get a little sheet just to commemorate the season that you spent together. It's just a little something.